Welcome, Tony Restrepo here, and I am so excited about this Holy Nation episode. We have our own holy health and fitness relationship expert, Christy Jones, here to teach us on relationship reconciliation. Before you quit on your relationships, watch this.
Hello, Holy Nation. Welcome. I am so excited that you are here. And I get to talk to you today about relationship reconciliation. So what is reconciliation? First of all, reconciliation really is restoration. And when you restore something, you want to restore it back to its original condition. So let's talk a little bit about relationships in general. We know that all relationships are very emotional, right? And we know that in relationships, I can almost guarantee that there will be offense. So when we talk about reconciliation, there are a couple of things that I want to share with you today that are going to help you to reconcile, whether you are in a marriage relationship, whether you are in a sibling relationship, or even a friendship relationship, because reconciliation is all in one and the same. So let's talk a little bit about the very first thing that you need to do when you want to reconcile. When you are in a relationship, it's so important for you to be committed to reconciling from the beginning. If you are in a relationship and if it's a parent relationship or a marriage relationship, before you even get in the relationship, you want to be committed to reconciling, so that is a joint agreement or a joint commitment that both parties in the relationship have, because you have to learn to overcome offense. You have to learn to really work through and navigate through emotions. And unfortunately, a lot of people are highly emotional, and which is not necessarily a healthy thing, or I should say they're not emotionally healthy. That's why we have Holy TV, to teach you how to be emotionally healthy. And so when it comes to relationships and you are committed to reconciliation, it's easy to reconcile because you're committed to getting back to your happy place. You're committed to getting the relationship back on track. Now, I want to talk and really explain in detail the importance of really understanding offense. Now, there are 6 stages of offense, and most people only go through 4. Now, the thing about offense is it can be the smallest thing, like a tone, somebody's tone in a text message. Right? We always can get offended in text message because you don't know what people are really meaning or saying because you interpret it a certain way. Or it could be a serious offense where there's, somebody hits you, or there's infidelity or something like that, or abuse, or even, somebody betrays you, right? So there's a big spectrum of offense, but it doesn't matter because the result is the same. So I want to take you through these different cycles of offense. The very first cycle of offense is shock. We can't believe they talked to us like that. We can't believe they said this. How dare they? They did this to us. That is the very first stage of offense in any relationship, okay, is shock. The second stage of offense is anger. Now, oftentimes in this second stage of offense, we want to punish the person who hurt us. We want to get back at the person who offended us, who hurt our feelings, who betrayed us, who, whatever, the situation is, talk to us a certain way. That is always the reaction when we get into that second stage of offense, which is anger. Then there's a third stage of offense, which is sorrow. There's a sadness that just has taken place, whether I can't believe that this person, there was a breach in our relationship, and it's more than just like a bad hair day. It's more of a deep sorrow. And sometimes, depending on the offense, it can be something that keeps you in the bed, and it's hard for you to even get up in the morning. And so this is the third stage of offense. The fourth stage of offense is acceptance. Now, you've gone through shock, you've gone through anger, you've gone through sorrow, and now you are at acceptance. Now, acceptance is like where you're at this stage where, okay, well, I'm not going to let them beat me, I'm not going to let them get me down, and you're trying to go on with your life. Now, the key with offense is because most people don't understand the cycles of offense, they get stuck. And there are triggers that can bring back the memory of the offense, and it will literally send you to shock, back to anger, back to sorrow, and you literally are bouncing back and forth like a pinball machine because you are stuck in one of these four cycles. And unfortunately, some people are stuck in these cycles not only for weeks, but months, but years, decades, even generations, where you are learning to, I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say you grow up not liking your neighbors, the Browns, right? Just as an example. And you have no idea why you're not supposed to like the Browns, but you grow up not liking the Browns because 30 years ago, there was a fight between your great-grandmother and the person across the street. So that is a cycle of offense that can actually become generational. Now, there are a few things to do in order to get out of this vicious cycle of offense, which can really destroy your relationships, your marriages, your friendships, whatever relationship that you are thinking about right now where that offense has taken place. If you do not do this fifth stage, you are going to stay in this vicious cycle. Now, the fifth stage of offense that literally takes you out of offense, catapults you out of this vicious cycle, is forgiveness. Ding, 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 yes, forgiveness. Now, most people do not really know how to forgive. Why? Because people think that you're gonna wanna feel like forgiving. Guess what? You're not gonna feel like forgiving. Because if somebody hurt you or they offended you or they did something behind your back or they cheated on you, you're not gonna feel like forgiving. So I think society thinks that if we just allow a certain number of days to go by, or if enough time goes by, then I'm gonna forgive this person. Well, what happens when the trigger comes up and that car that drives by that's playing the same song that reminds you of the offense comes up? Then you're mad again, or then you're in shock, and then you're back in this vicious cycle. So forgiveness is a decision. You have to decide to forgive. You have to make the decision to forgive without any expectation on the other side, without the person that you're forgiving, without any expectation for how they should behave, for what they should say, for what they should do. This is why forgiveness can be really difficult for people because one, they're still in one of the four stages and they're wanting to punish, right? They're wanting to punish the person for hurting them. I want to hurt them back, right? But then to forgive them, what? This is foreign to many people. And so with forgiveness, you have to decide. So I want you to think about if you're going to your best friend's birthday party and you go to your best friend's birthday party, you're bringing them a gift, right? So you say, happy birthday, and you give them this gift and they reach for the gift to take it. But guess what? You never let it go. So they're wanting to take this gift, but you never let it go. So guess what? That's unforgiveness. Forgiveness is a gift that you have to give without any expectation in return, without any not only expectation of the other person, but the expectation that it's going to make everything go away, because it's not, right? So, but the thing is that it frees you. Forgiveness frees you from the vicious cycle that is literally attacking your mind and your heart and your soul with the shock, the anger, the sorrow, the acceptance, the wanting to punish, all of that. So forgiveness is the 5th stage, and literally it will catapult you to the 6th stage, which is healing. Now, not only with reconciliation do you have to commit in the relationship to reconciling, but 2, you have to understand the cycles of forgiveness, the cycles of offense, and know where you are. Are you stuck in one of the 4? Have you really forgiven? Have you made the decision to forgive the person who offended you? And then the 3rd thing is, when you do forgive, it literally catapults you to a place of healing. And so when you're reconciling, it's so important for you to give yourselves time to heal, to acknowledge what happened in the offense, to really, if you may do something and not think that it should be offensive, but it's not about you, right? It's about the other person that you offended. So if the other person needs to talk about it, if the other person needs to walk through it, if you need to find strategies or solutions so the offense doesn't happen again, this is a part of the process of healing. And that's really important. And one of the things that I really want to mention is when you go through healing, it's important for you to give each other time, to the time and the space to heal. I know we've all experienced offense, and the person who is the offender oftentimes wants to be restored sooner than the person who's really walking through the hurt of offense is ready to restore them. And so you want to be patient in this process of reconciliation. You want to be gracious. You want to be humble as you walk through the different stages of healing, the different stages that you are going through regarding reconciliation. So the other thing that I think is important in the stages of reconciliation is intimacy, and really reintroducing intimacy in your relationship. Now, when it comes to marriage, if there's an offense in marriage, that may be holding hands, that may be cuddling on the couch, or a kiss, or even sex. But then when it comes to a relationship like friendship, it may be going to lunch, it may be talking on the phone like you did before, and maybe it's going on a spa day or doing something that you did before to really reintroduce intimacy back in the relationship so that things can get back on track. Because after offense, sometimes it's weird to get back into the relationship because you don't know what to say. You're still kind of on shaky ground. But if you take the initiative to reintroduce intimacy back into the relationship, it really gives the other person who may be the offender permission to be restored. Really, you're letting them know that I'm restoring you back. I forgive you. I still love you. I'm not pulling my love away from you. And it really helps the process of reconciliation. One of the things that I heard that I thought was so great is the worst reconciliation is better or greater than the best divorce. The worst reconciliation is better than the best divorce. Because divorce is never an option for people who, what I'm trying to say, well, I don't want that to be the out, is what I'm trying to say. We don't want, to say, oh, I'm getting married if it doesn't work, oh, well, that's not what God intends marriage to be. There is a purpose around marriage. There's a purpose around relationships. God created us to be in relationships as a part of the body of Christ, and we have to learn how to do them well. If we don't know how to do them well, we'll be offending people all over the place. We'll have broken relationships, and it really affects us as individuals if you do not know how to love the way God loves you, or to create safe places in relationships. And the thing that I think is so interesting is, God created us out of love, out of His truth. And the very first experience that we have is usually with our parents. And so that really confirms what we understand or know about love. And so It could be abuse. It could be rejection. It could be abandonment. And so now we have these adults walking around thinking that love does not look the way God says love looks. And so we've got to do the work to get back to really being in relationships the way God intended. And part of that is having a heart to reconcile, having a heart to wanting to get back to your original intention, the restoring your relationship back to its original intention. And you can do that by practicing forgiveness, by really doing the work to not stay stuck in one of those 4 stages of offense. If somebody offends you, have a conversation. A lot of people hate confrontation, so they want to avoid the conversation. They're just like, they just chalk up the relationship as a loss. But this is a relationship that God has as part of the plan of their life. And so be courageous, be brave, be bold enough to have a conversation with somebody in a relationship that you love, that you adore, that you value. It's so important. Relationships, I think, are one of the most important things in the world. And I value my relationships, and I never want offense to be something that removes a very valuable relationship from my life. So I really want to encourage you to have a heart to reconcile. If you are in a relationship and there's no value to it, then I want you to ask yourself, why are you in it? Why are you in the relationship? And if you are committed to being reconciled, then you can really start cultivating a deep and very rich, healthy relationship in all of your relationships. But it starts with you. It starts with a heart to reconcile and the commitment to doing the work that it takes in any and every relationship.
We hope this episode was a blessing to you. For more information on Holy Health and Fitness programs and Christy Little-Jones, please visit us at holyhealthandfitness.com. Before you leave, make sure to subscribe and hit your notifications so that you can know when the next episode goes live. We appreciate you for joining us, and until next time, remember, live whole, spirit, soul, and body.